James Thomas, Morning Blend. I have the co-creators of HBO's Max's Fired on Mars. I have Nate Sherman and Nick Vokey. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Morning. Good, thanks.
Nate, how did you come up with this Fired on Mars?
Well, we are veterans of the corporate trenches, and this was our way of expressing kind of the feeling of what it's like to be in a corporate job that you really don't want to be at. And this is the most extreme, the most pushed version of that feeling. Trapped on a planet millions of miles away, unable to leave the office, unable to go home.
That actually sounds like some of the people I know here on Earth. That's it really sounds like.
Wrong
Nick,
area.
yeah. Nick, tell me a little bit more about Fired on Mars, because you've been in shorts with Wet City and Dune Hardcore. So talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, we started making shorts together about 10 years ago. That's funny to hear you mention Dune Hardcore. That one's kind of secret and buried on the internet. But yeah, we made Dune Hardcore, and that was really simple. It was kind of just like, pictures with a guy doing a monologue. And then that evolved to Fired on Mars, with a much more articulated short with a lot more happening visually. And that eventually became the series that's premiering this week.
Oh man, sounds wild. Nate, you said it's being trapped in a corporate world. Do you think even on this earth, people feel trapped in a job a lot?
I think most people do, yeah. I mean, we even felt trapped making this thing. So, it's be careful what Jewish. Yeah.
Tell me about it. What can we expect in this series, in this Fired on Mars?
Well, we tried to make we tried to make it feel like a big movie. So it's a very, or at least we hope it's a very cinematic experience. And, it begins in the office, but there's a lot of twists and turns that it takes. And so we don't want to spoil anything, but we really cover a lot of ground over the course of the series here.
It starts out as one thing and becomes something completely different.
How did you guys snare Luke Wilson to be a part of this?
Well, he was always, we always want. The short existed, like Nick said, back in 2016, and I think subconsciously or not, we were kind of channeling that his kind of everyman charm. Funny, but he's a great straight man, one of the great modern straight men in comedy. And he, embodies that guy, that everyman audience surrogate with a touch of melancholy. And so he was our first choice, and, we're so happy to have gotten to work with him.
Nick, where do you get this creativity from? I mean, where does this energy come from? Is this something that you had as a teenager, a young person, or is this something that developed in college or just being out in the world?
I think ever since we were little kids, we were doing creative stuff. And I think we both always wanted to do something like this. And in the beginning, it was really exciting when we started making shorts, because it was like, wow, we can actually do this. And I think I personally never thought I would be able to get to where we are now. And it's really exciting.
Guys, Fired on Mars premieres this week on HBO. Along with the premiere of Fired on Mars is also 420. So, with that in mind, do you think people are going to... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just a really unfortunate coincidence that it's coming out.
Fortunate or unfortunate? I mean,
it's unfortunate. No,
unfortunate. I don't know. It might be fortunate because they may really enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah.
With the 420 going on,
you're not going to need to show.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Nate Sherman and Nick Vokey, thank you so much for joining us, co-creators for HBO Max's Fired on Mars. I just love the fact you two have been creative since you were kids, and you developed it as adults and never let it go, because a lot of adults let it go and become very boring.
Well, thank you.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks.